Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribers button and give this video a thumbs up. Luna's final moments, a shock no one saw coming. Luna Nozawa had been spiraling for weeks. Obsession, betrayal, and a deep sense of vengeance had overtaken her once innocent persona. After her romance with Will Spencer took a dark turn, sparked by manipulation, distrust, and a shocking Mint incident gone viral, Luna's world began to crumble. But no one expected this ending. On what should have been just another heated confrontation between two young lovers turned enemies, Luna pushed Will to the edge, and Will snapped. In a chilling confrontation outside Forrester Creations, Luna screamed, "I know your plan, Will. I know everything," as she pulled out a voice recorder with damning audio. Will, shaken, begged her to stop. "You don't understand what you're doing, Luna. This could ruin my life, my father's legacy." But Luna wouldn't back down. And then, the gun came out. Was it Luna's? Was it Will's? Did it accidentally go off? All we know is that in one deafening moment, a gunshot rang out, and Luna collapsed, blood pooling beneath her silk blouse. Baker arrives. "Will Spencer, you're under arrest." Chief Baker rushed onto the scene moments later, alerted by a silent alarm triggered inside the Forrester building. What he walked into was pure devastation. Will, still holding Luna, his hands covered in blood, sobbing uncontrollably. "I didn't want this. I loved her," Will cried. But love wasn't going to undo what had just happened. Baker had no choice. "Will Spencer, you are under arrest for the suspected manslaughter of Luna Nozawa. You have the right to remain silent." The cuffs clicked, echoing across the parking lot like a death knell for Bill Spencer's family name. Luna's death sent shockwaves through Los Angeles. The news traveled fast. Within minutes, Steffi, Finn, Hope, Brooke, Ridge, and even Sheila heard the news. Steffi, crumbling to the floor, screamed, "No. Luna was like family." Finn, Luna's cousin and once her biggest protector, punched a wall so hard he fractured 2 fingers. Sheila, cryptic and oddly calm, whispered, "This is just the beginning." Bill's wrath, a father versus the law. When Bill Spencer received the call from Baker, his world imploded. "My son? My boy? You're telling me he shot Luna?" Bill asked, barely able to breathe. Racing to the police station, Bill demanded answers, and a lawyer. But Baker stood firm. "Your son may be a Spencer, but no one is above the law." What followed was a blistering confrontation between Bill and Baker that ended with a chilling threat. "If you don't back off, Baker, I swear on everything I have, I will take down this entire department." But would that be enough to protect Will? Lee's rage, the Nozawa family demands justice. Dr. Lee Finnegan, Luna's aunt, arrived at the morgue with tears streaming down her face. "She was the light in our family," she sobbed. "And now she's gone. Because of a Spencer." She didn't stop there. In front of cameras, reporters, and every Forrester employee watching the livestream, Lee vowed, "I will not rest until Will Spencer is behind bars for the rest of his life. He murdered my niece." Suddenly, the Spencer-Nozawa feud is war. Hope's meltdown, her brother killed her designer. Hope Logan had placed so much trust in Luna. She brought her into her fashion line. She gave her a creative voice. Now, Luna was dead. And Hope's own half-brother might be responsible. "I don't even know who Will is anymore," she cried to Brooke. "He was a child when he left. He came back, broken." Hope breaks down in Thomas's arms, but not before confronting Bill and screaming, "You protected him from everything, and now this is the result." DNA bombshell, Luna's pregnant? In a twist no one saw coming, Lee orders an autopsy, only to discover Luna was pregnant at the time of her death. The father? Likely Will Spencer. Now, the manslaughter charge could escalate into double homicide. Baker is stunned. Bill collapses. Lee's fury grows tenfold. Not only did he kill my niece, she cries, he killed her unborn child. He's a monster. Courtroom chaos, the trial of Will Spencer. Will Spencer is arraigned in a media frenzy. The courtroom is packed. Brooke, Ridge, Steffi, Hope, Thomas, Carter, Sheila, Finn, Bill, Lee, even Taylor and Deacon show up. Will pleads not guilty. Bill hires the best criminal defense team money can buy. But Lee's team brings in explosive evidence, voice memos, video clips, and text messages from Luna, suggesting Will had grown paranoid, unstable, and potentially violent in the days before the shooting. Mental health revelation, Will's psychiatric breakdown. In a jaw-dropping courtroom moment, Bill's lawyer reveals that Will had been seeing a psychiatrist for months. Diagnosis? Intermittent explosive disorder, IED, a rare condition that can lead to uncontrolled rage. Did Will snap because of this? Was it Luna's pushing? Or did Will mean to pull the trigger all along? Verdict day, is Will guilty? After a month-long trial, the jury finally returns. As the courtroom holds its breath, we find the defendant, Will Spencer, guilty of second-degree manslaughter. Gasps. Sobs. Bill collapses. Brooke runs from the courtroom. Lee smiles for the first time in weeks. Will is sentenced to 15 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after 7. Aftermath. The B&B landscape will never be the same. Hope resigns from Hope for the future, unable to continue Luna's legacy without her. Steffi pulls all designs inspired by Luna's sketches from the runway. Bill disappears to Aspen, devastated and alone. Lee opens a foundation in Luna's name for young female designers. And at the end of the week, a tearful Finn visits Luna's grave. "I should have protected you," he whispers. "I'll never forgive myself." Cue the montage of Luna's best moments, and fade to black. Bold and the Beautiful sees Taylor Hayes blissfully happy now that Ridge Forrester said he wants to be her hubby and he put that recycled ring back on her cutlet. But Brooke Logan is going to win in the end, it seems. And it could be a marriage day jilting again for Taylor. We've got B&B spoilers about Taylor's coming heartache when Brooke's fine fortune with Ridge wins in the end. Taylor Hayes' engagement bliss and brewing heartbreak Ridge Forrester's recycled ring drama. So, right now, Taylor is on pall 9 because Ridge happily accepted her offer. It was enough wild with Nick Marone sitting there wiretapping on their special moment. You know, Taylor wants to put their family back together and Ridge told her he's so in love with her. He said, Taylor makes everything better and the engagement ring should have been on her cutlet each on. Nick's jaw kept dropping every time the discussion got soupy. And you know, Nick is thrilled that Ridge said yes to Taylor's offer because that means Brooke will have to see Ridge as the man for her. And this is great news for Nick. He may be nearly as happy as the recently engaged couple. I'm surprised he has transferred champagne over and said Mazel Tov. Brooke's visions and Katie's reality check. Will Ridge ever commit? You know, at the same time Taylor and Ridge were getting engaged, Brooke was spouting sheer gibberish at her family Katie Logan about how what Ridge and Taylor have isn't real. It's real. May not be real endless, but it's real. And in Brooke's mind, she thinks Taylor and Ridge feel a sense of obligation to each other. That's it. And also Brooke tried to say that Ridge would no way marry Taylor. And good old Katie wrote Brooke a reality check and reminded her family that Ridge walked down the aisle with Taylor and married her a couple of times. They had 3 kiddies together. There's commodity there. It may not be fortune, but there's commodity there. So Katie is way more right than she realizes. And although Brooke didn't want to hear it, Katie said she doesn't suppose that Brooke's going to get her reunion with Ridge. She wants Brooke to face that Ridge is committed to Taylor. And you know, Brooke continued on with the thing about how she and Ridge are fated to be together. He wants her. He doesn't want Taylor. But indeed after all of Katie's trying to talk sense to her, it didn't work. And she's veritably certain about this. Emotional face slap. Nick and Ridge confirm engagement to a devastated Brooke Logan, and also Brooke gets a rude awakening first from Nick and also from Ridge. So, it's going to be a real emotional face poke for Brooke when Nick says he eavesdropped Taylor proposed to Ridge and he said yes. Latterly, Ridge will confirm what Nick formerly revealed and tells Brooke that he's engaged to Taylor. They're getting wedded. So, Brooke's at the point where she's going to have to presumably accept what Katie's byword, what Nick's byword, what Ridge's himself is saying, and that they're done and she needs to move on. Nick's romantic pursuit and Ridge's insincerity, a poisonous dynamic exposed. So, with Taylor getting this palm, Brooke's presumably going to be a lot further open when Nick tries to love her. Jack Wagner did some interviews about his comeback to Bold. And he said that Nick's going to help Brooke realize that her dynamic with Ridge is poisonous and that she could have a happily ever after with Nick rather. So, they may jump right into effects. I mean, Ridge has no problem bouncing from bifurcation right into notoriety additional sped. And Ridge broke up with Brooke several months ago. So, her moving incontinently on with Nick isn't as tacky of a thing like when Ridge did it when he principally started hooking up with Taylor, indeed before he made the split completely sanctioned with Brooke. And it's not the first time Ridge has done Brooke chapeau exact way. We saw that ahead with the whole pinecone thing. But despite saying yes to Taylor's offer, still doesn't like seeing Brooke with Nick. The sisters just don't like each other. Ridge can't stand the Joe. Says he no way will. Nick's got zero respect for Ridge and especially doesn't like the way he treats Brooke. So, at the moment, Ridge seems happy. He's acting happy. He's saying he's happy. He says he's head over heels for Taylor. And at the same time, however, he's still going to be telling Brooke she should stay down from Nick. Italian twist: Brad Bell spills the sap on Ridge and Brooke's fortune. So, for a while it'll look like Ridge is going to be with Taylor and all those Brooke and Ridge the bridge shippers are going to be a little worried. Brooke is going to suppose about whether she's got a real future with Nick. But at the same time, Jack Wagner was doing those US interviews, Brad Bell was doing Italian interviews in magazines that only publish in Europe. He was saying that when Ridge, Eric Forrester, Brooke and Nick go to Capri, Italy, commodity happens that makes Ridge realize Brooke is the woman he's meant to spend his life with, he can't live without her. And Brad Bell said that Ridge and Brooke will be together ever. Huge spoiler, but I guess he allowed. Since he did it in Italian, it doesn't count. I don't know. So, what happens in Italy seems to be some kind of life and death event where perhaps Ridge's life flashes before his eyes. Because there's a print that Notoriety got while they were doing the position shoot in Italy. And it looks like Ridge is either diving into the water or falls into the water. So perhaps he jumps in to save Brooke or commodity happens and he falls in. But when Ridge is faced with his own mortality or perhaps Brooke's mortality, he starts to figure effects out and realizes that what he's got isn't what he wants. So Taylor's not there in Italy, but Nick is. Wedding day implosion: will Ridge choose fortune or duty? So we'll see if Ridge incontinently realizes because of this watery incident that he's meant to be with Brooke and they recommit before they come back to LA. Or perhaps Ridge has this moment in Italy and also he's back in LA and also the epiphany comes to him and he's milling it over about what to do up until his marriage date because Ridge said he wants to be a man of his word. So it could be that he realizes he needs to be with Brooke but also he just can't walk down from Taylor because he gave his word not just to her but also to Steffi Forrester. So, do you flash back the last time Taylor and Ridge were at a marriage balcony? They nearly got married. That was when Ridge had ditched Brooke because he believed that fake CBS call that Thomas Forrester did using the voice app. And Taylor's marriage day collapsed when the Verity came out. And now her forthcoming marriage to Ridge, honestly, seems doomed to fall piecemeal. Again, it was Brooke getting ditched because Ridge knew commodity and he doesn't ever go and ask questions. He just hops to conclusions and also hops into another woman's bed. Taylor's vengeance and Ridge's karma: a bold and beautiful future? So, we'll see if Taylor makes it down the aisle again. And also at the last moment, Ridge can't go through with it. It'd be nice if he did the right thing and as soon as he realized in Italy that Brooke really is his fortune, that Ridge just, decided to man up and be honest with Taylor. For me at this point, I suppose Ridge is terrible. I don't watch who he marries. I just want him to stick with whoever it's and I don't want to see Ridge, Argentine-haired on Social Security with a hipsterism relief still bouncing between Brooke and Taylor and running through a Viagra tradition. That's not the bold and the beautiful future I want. I just want Ridge to pick one and stick with that bone. Bold and the beautiful, when does it end? And in this case, grounded on Brad Bell's interviews with that Italian magazine, it's sure aesthetics like Brooke gets her man and Taylor gets ditched before too long. So, we'll see. And if you know, Ridge comes smelling back around, Brooke would obviously leave Nick like a gemstone, indeed if they're back together at that point. So, it'd be nice if Ridge did the right thing and told Taylor the moment he realized that he'd second studies. I'm sure he's going to try and explain breaking Taylor's heart because he's got to talk about it to Steffi. And if he uses the word fortune, she might punch her pater in the face. As for Taylor, I hope that her broken heart pattern doesn't come back. I suppose she should rather try broken auto pattern and give Ridge's sports auto the Carrie Underwood treatment. I'd like to see Taylor sculpt her name into his leather seats, take a Louisville Gladiator to both of his headlights, slash a hole in all 4 tires. So perhaps coming time Ridge thinks before he cheats. It's in grand song. I suppose they should have it playing. They should spend the plutocrat, play that while she messes up his auto. And if that doesn't help Taylor feel more, she could always go get her chuckers realigned. We'll see. But by all appearances and spoilers that have blurted out, yeah, Brooke is going to win again and Taylor's getting ditched. Love, betrayal, destiny, and deception. Welcome to the bold and the beautiful, where no wedding is safe, no relationship is sacred, and no recycled ring comes without drama. In this emotionally explosive, jaw-droppingly wild saga, Taylor Hayes is on the verge of another romantic catastrophe. Just when she thought she was finally getting her fairy tale ending with Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan is waiting in the wings with her perfectly manicured claws ready to reclaim her destiny. Spoilers ahead reveal a heartbreaking implosion on Taylor's wedding day and a twisty road back to bridge that leaves hearts shattered across LA. The ring returns, Taylor's big mistake. Taylor Hayes is glowing. After years of playing second fiddle to Brooke Logan, the good doctor finally hears the words she's longed for: Ridge Forrester wants to be her husband. He slips that very familiar ring back on her finger, the same one that once promised Brooke forever. But Taylor's not thinking about recycled jewelry, she's thinking about rebuilding a future. A family. A life. What she doesn't realize is that she's standing in a house of cards, and Ridge is still Ridge. Nick Marone watches from the sidelines with a glass of wine and a smirk. He hears every word, Taylor's proposal, Ridge's sappy yes, and the promises that sound all too hollow. He's been around this block before. And when Ridge says things like Taylor makes everything better, Nick practically chokes on his champagne. He knows what's coming. And unfortunately, so do we. Brooke's denial, Katie's reality check. Meanwhile, across town, Brooke Logan is spiraling, but still delusional. She's sipping tea with Katie, ranting about how Ridge doesn't really want Taylor. She says the engagement is just obligation. She insists Ridge and Taylor are done, they always have been. But Katie's got receipts. She reminds Brooke of the multiple weddings, the kids, and the very real connection between Ridge and Taylor. Brooke isn't hearing it. Her mantra is simple: he's destined to be with me. Katie rolls her eyes harder than ever. She tells Brooke, you can't live in a fantasy world forever. Ridge made his choice. But Brooke is still clinging to hope, and that hope is about to be crushed in the most public way imaginable. Nick drops the bomb, Brooke's emotional face slap. Brooke is in for the shock of her life. Enter Nick Marone, ready to spill some tea. He casually mentions that he overheard Taylor proposing to Ridge, and Ridge saying yes. Brooke freezes. Her voice cracks. She denies it. No, Ridge would never, he couldn't, but then Ridge himself confirms it. The emotional face slap hits her like a tsunami. Ridge is engaged. To Taylor. Again. Her hands tremble. Her eyes well up. But the worst part? Nick sees it all, and suddenly, he's not just a messenger. He becomes the shoulder Brooke leans on. And maybe, something more. Nick's comeback, a second chance for Brooke? Jack Wagner returns as Nick Marone, and he's not here to just stir the pot. He's here for Brooke. He's older, wiser, and less willing to play second fiddle to Ridge. He tells Brooke she deserves better. And for the first time, she listens. The two share drinks. Then laughs. Then, a kiss. It's electric. Brooke feels alive again. But we all know that when Ridge gets wind of Nick and Brooke reconnecting, he won't be happy, even if he's the one who put a ring on Taylor's finger. Ridge's jealousy flares. He tells Brooke to stay away from Nick. But Brooke finally has enough courage to clap back. You chose Taylor. I don't owe you anything anymore. Boom. Capri chaos, destiny in Italy? Then comes the Italian twist that rewrites the entire script. In a Brad Bell leaked interview in an Italian soap mag, we learn that a trip to Capri changes everything. Ridge, Brooke, Nick, and Eric are all there, Taylor is not. While on a boat, something happens. Maybe Ridge falls. Maybe Brooke nearly drowns. Whatever it is, it's life or death. Ridge sees his life flash before his eyes. And in that moment, he doesn't see Taylor. He sees Brooke. He realizes he never stopped loving her. That she is his destiny. Again. Spoiler alert, this wasn't supposed to leak. But Brad Bell said it, Ridge and Brooke are endgame. The wedding that never happens, Taylor's heartbreak. Back in LA, Taylor is finalizing wedding plans. She picks the dress. The flowers. The cake. But Ridge is miles away, physically and emotionally. He's thinking about Brooke. And when the big day arrives, Ridge is MIA. Taylor waits. And waits. Then he shows up, with tears in his eyes. He tells her the truth. I can't marry you. Taylor's world crumbles. Again. Steffi is furious. Thomas is speechless. And Taylor, well, she may be headed for another breakdown. Taylor's revenge, from tears to slashed tires. Taylor's done playing nice. Her therapist badge is off. Her rage is on. She takes Ridge's sports car for a joyride. Slashes tires. Scratches the paint. Carves Liar into the leather seats. She goes full Carrie Underwood. And honestly? We love to see it.